In 1944, India was like a vast prison with tens of thousands of patriots in jails. Their crime, love for their country. Their demand, freedom for India. At the same time, a multi-dimensional, multinational savage war was being fought on several fronts in the name of freedom and democracy. Axis forces were on the retreat. After repulsing the threat to Imphal and Kohima, Indian and British armies were advancing into Burma. By May 1945, the war had cost more than 20 million lives and left many more maimed and mutilated. Hitler's dream of a world conquest came to a sad end in his suicide amidst the ruins of Berlin. Nazi Germany surrendered on the 8th of May 1945. In April 1945, 50 nations gathered at San Francisco to draft the Charter of the United Nations to save the succeeding generations from the scourge of war. India was one of the original signatories of the Charter. Commenting on the role of the United Nations, Mahatma Gandhi said, "There will be no peace for the Allies unless they shed their belief in the efficacy of the war and are determined to hammer a real peace based on the equality of all races and nations." On the 14th of June 1945, the Viceroy Lord Wavell announced that he would call a conference of Indian leaders to seek their advice on political and constitutional matters.
To invite Indian leaders, both of central and provincial politics, to take counsel with me with a view to the formation of a new executive council more representative of organized political opinion. The proposed new council would represent the main communities and would include equal proportions of caste Hindus and Muslims. It would work, if formed, under the existing constitution. But it would be an entirely Indian council, except for the Viceroy and the Commander-in-Chief, who would retain his position as war member. It is also proposed that the portfolio of external affairs, which has hitherto been held by the Viceroy, should be placed in charge of an Indian member of council, so far as the interests of British India are concerned. I considered the best means of forming such a council.
Gandhiji objected to the use of the phrase caste Hindus by the Viceroy. He said that parity between Hindus and Muslims on the basis of religion was not acceptable. The Congress leaders were released from prison. Sardar Patel and Shankar Rao Dev met Gandhiji at Panchkani to discuss the Viceroy's proposal. In Bombay, it was a very, very wet day. Tens of thousands braved the elements to give an overwhelming welcome to the Congress leaders. Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Acharya Kripalani, Sarojini Naidu, Congress President Maulana Azad, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Jawaharlal Nehru, and others. The Congress Working Committee decided to accept the Viceroy's invitation to attend the conference at Simla on the 25th of June. Simla, the summer capital. The Viceroy had invited the Indian leaders with a view to forming a new executive council which would be more representative of organized political opinion. There was hope and expectancy. The conference was attended by 21 invitees, leaders of major political parties, premiers and ex-premiers of provinces, leaders of various groups in the Central Assembly, and representatives of various interests. Gandhiji was in Simla, but did not attend the conference. Jawaharlal Nehru found some time to talk to the people. Right from the beginning, the Muslim League showed no interest in the Wavell Plan. It demanded that all the Muslims in the Viceroy's new Executive Council should be members of the League. Maulana Azad disagreed with such a communal approach and claimed the right of the Congress to include members of all the communities as its nominees. Jinnah asserted that the League would not agree to a constitution on any basis other than Pakistan. The Congress stood firm on its secular and national character. The negotiations broke down, but the Viceroy asked the Congress and the League to send him names of their nominees for the interim government. In England, the Labour Party won the elections. Clement Attlee became the Prime Minister on the 26th of July. The Labour government was sympathetic towards Indian aspirations. The All India Congress Committee met at Gavalia Tank, Bombay on the 21st of September 1945. This was the venue where the Congress was born 60 years earlier in 1885. It was again here that on the 8th of August 1942, the famous Quit India resolution was passed. The Congress was now meeting to take momentous decisions. The session was presided over by Maulana Azad. The All India Congress Committee decided to contest the elections and declared that the goal of India was a free democratic republic.
Pandit Nehru, often described as Mr. Gandhi's successor, introduces the resolution. Congress will fight the elections to preserve Indian unity and to win independence.
By now, the war on the Eastern Front was moving towards its climax. On the 6th of August 1945, America dropped an atom bomb on Hiroshima. The city was reduced to rubble and ashes. After the second bomb was dropped on Nagasaki 3 days later, the Japanese army surrendered on the 15th of August 1945. The war-weary world heaved a sigh of relief. On the 19th of September, Lord Wavell made an announcement to convene a constitution-making body as soon as possible, to hold elections to the provincial and central assemblies, to form a new executive council of the Viceroy. The Indian National Army under Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose had fought against the British forces on the Arakan and Imphal fronts. The whole of India was proud of their patriotism, sacrifice, and valor. On the 5th of November 1945 began the historic trial of 3 senior officers of the Indian National Army. Shahnawaz Khan, Dillon, and Sehgal faced the charge of waging a war against the king. They were defended by Bhulabhai Desai, Tej Bahadur Sapru, Jawaharlal Nehru, Asaf Ali, and Kailash Nath Kajju. The trial created great excitement, and the entire country rallied round to defend the INA heroes. The British government succumbed to popular demand and released the 3 officers. The Congress was riding the crest of popular patriotic fervor. Election results were announced. The Congress won a convincing victory in the Central Assembly and in 9 provinces. In the northwest frontier, Dr. Khan Sahib led the Congress to victory. In the Central Assembly, the Congress won the majority of elected seats. G.V. Mavlankar was chosen President of the Assembly. A British parliamentary delegation, led by Professor Robert Richards, came to India on the 5th of January 1946 on an exploratory mission. The delegation spent about a month in India and had talks with all the important political leaders. Age-old social barriers were breaking down. Gandhiji's crusade for the removal of untouchability had borne fruit. On the 3rd of February 1946, Gandhiji visited the Meenakshi temple at Madurai, now thrown open to the Harijans. At Madras, Mahatma Gandhi attended the Silver Jubilee celebrations of the Dakshin Bharat Hindi Prachar Sabha. Distributing the certificates, he said, "Learning of Hindi is essential to achieve national unity. Only that language which the people of the country will themselves adopt can become the national language." On the 18th of February 1946, some ratings of the Royal Indian Navy at Bombay went on a hunger strike as a protest against the discrimination in their service conditions and some derogatory remarks of their British officers about India. The agitation developed into a minor mutiny involving naval establishments in Karachi and Calcutta. The workers organized strikes and hartals in Bombay and other cities. As the negotiations for independence were on the anvil, Sardar Patel advised the ratings to give up the agitation. A cabinet mission was sent to India with directives to use their utmost endeavor to help India attain her freedom as speedily and as fully as possible. The mission arrived in Delhi on the 24th of March, 1946. Its members were Lord Pethick Lawrence, Secretary of State for India, Sir Stafford Cripps, President of the Board of Trade, and A.V. Alexander, First Lord of the Admiralty. For several days, they held discussions with eminent Indian politicians, governors of provinces, representatives of minorities, and special interests. The Congress stood firm on its demand of independence for a united India. Jinnah asserted that the League would accept nothing short of the partition of the country on a communal basis. At the invitation of Pethick Lawrence, Gandhiji came to Delhi and stayed at the Bhangi colony. He denounced Jinnah's two-nation theory as being most dangerous. Negotiations continued for several weeks without any tangible results. The scene shifted to Simla. The Congress and the League were invited to send 4 delegates each for further talks. The Congress was represented by Jawaharlal Nehru, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and the Congress President Maulana Azad. Gandhiji was not a delegate, but he made himself available in Simla for consultations. The conference opened in Simla on the 5th of May 1946 to consider the question of grouping of provinces, the character of the Federal Union, the setting up of a constitution-making machinery, and the formation of an interim government. For the Congress, the unity of India was of prime importance. But Liaquat Ali Khan and Jinnah remained firm on their demand for the partition of the country. Several proposals were discussed, but none of them was acceptable to the Muslim League. Jawaharlal Nehru suggested the immediate formation of an interim government responsible to the elected members of the Central Assembly. Jawaharlal Nehru had a meeting with Jinnah, but there was no agreement. The cabinet mission then offered two alternatives to Jinnah: a federation of autonomous provinces as a part of the Union of India, or Pakistan as a separate state with an area limited only to districts having a Muslim majority, or Pakistan as demanded by Jinnah, but only as a separate federation which would function within the Indian Union. This proposal was not acceptable to the Muslim League, as Jinnah was against the idea of the Indian Union. The talks dragged on. When no solution was in sight, Gandhiji told the cabinet mission to suggest their own plan. On May 16, 1946, the cabinet mission announced its plan as follows. There shall be a Union of India embracing both British India and the princely states, which will deal with three subjects: foreign affairs, defense and communications, and have the power to raise finances. The Union should have an executive and legislature. The states will retain all the subjects and powers other than those ceded to the Union. Provinces should be free to form a group or sub-federation with an executive and legislatures. The Constitution of the Union and of the groups should provide for reconsideration of the terms of the Constitution at 10 yearly intervals. It was also proposed to convene a Constituent Assembly of 292 members from British India and 93 from princely states. The Congress welcomed the proposal, but rejected the idea of a sub-federation. The Muslim League was dissatisfied with the entire scheme. Lord Wavell proposed the holding of elections to the Constituent Assembly and for setting up an interim government at the center, and invited the Congress and the Muslim League to send their nominations. The Congress Working Committee decided to join the interim government. On the 6th and 7th of July, the All India Congress Committee met in Bombay under the presidency of Jawaharlal Nehru. The Congress accepted the cabinet plan by 205 to 51 votes. The socialist wing of the Congress opposed the resolution. Lord Wavell was unable to form the interim government because of the Muslim League. The League wanted all the Muslims in the cabinet